The Unseen Scars of Childhood, Early Struggles and Disciplinary Issues. Before Cristiano Ronaldo became a global icon, a titan of football with an almost mythical presence, his early life in Funchal, Madeira, was a crucible of hardship and formative challenges that would undoubtedly shape the man he became. Far from the gilded palaces and luxury cars that would later define his image, Ronaldo was born into a family grappling with profound poverty. His mother, Maria Dolores dos Santos Aveiro, even contemplated abortion due to the dire financial circumstances, a revelation she later shared, painting a stark picture of the struggles they endured. His father, José Diniz Aveiro, was a gardener, but tragically succumbed to liver failure in 2005 at the age of 52, a direct consequence of his severe alcoholism. This addiction cast a long, dark shadow over Ronaldo's childhood, depriving him of a consistent paternal presence and instilling in him a deep-seated aversion to alcohol, a path he has famously never followed. He once emotionally recounted in an interview with Piers Morgan that his father never truly witnessed his monumental success, a poignant regret that undoubtedly fueled his relentless drive. Growing up, the family's poverty was palpable. Ronaldo himself recalled having nothing, no toys, no Christmas presents, and sharing a cramped room with his two sisters and brother while his parents occupied another. His mother worked tirelessly as a cook and cleaning lady, often juggling multiple jobs just to ensure there was food on the table. This upbringing, marked by scarcity and sacrifice, instilled in him an extraordinary work ethic and a fierce determination to escape the clutches of poverty, a quality that would become synonymous with his professional career. The stark reality of their daily lives meant that even basic necessities were luxuries. Meals were often simple, based on what little they could afford, and new clothes were rare. Ronaldo's early football was played with makeshift balls or worn-out hand-me-down boots, a far cry from the perfectly manicured pitches and high-tech equipment he would later experience. This constant struggle for survival instilled in him a profound appreciation for every opportunity and a relentless drive to maximize his potential, knowing that his family's hopes were, in many ways, riding on his shoulders. This deep-seated understanding of deprivation also informed his later philanthropic endeavors, though he rarely publicizes them. He understood firsthand the transformative power of even small acts of generosity. Beyond the economic hardships, Ronaldo's youth was also characterized by a rebellious streak and disciplinary issues that hinted at the fiery temperament that would later make him both admired and controversial on the pitch. Perhaps the most famous incident occurred when he was just 14 years old, attending a school in Madeira. He was expelled after throwing a chair at a teacher. The reason, according to reports, was that the teacher had mocked his Madeiran dialect, a stressing of the Portuguese accent, and, more pointedly, his family's financial struggles. This act of defiance, born from a perceived insult to his humble origins and loved ones, showcased an early refusal to tolerate disrespect, a trait that remains evident in his public persona today. For Ronaldo, who was already deeply immersed in football, this expulsion arguably became a pivotal moment, pushing him to focus even more intently on his burgeoning athletic talent. His temperament, while at times difficult, was also intertwined with a fierce loyalty to his roots and a strong sense of justice. He simply would not tolerate perceived slights against himself or, more importantly, his family and heritage. This unwavering self-belief, even in the face of authority, was a double-edged sword that sometimes led to confrontations but also fueled his unparalleled ambition. It was a clear indication that Ronaldo was not someone who would quietly accept his lot. He would fight for what he believed in, and he would fight to succeed. Adding another layer of adversity to his formative years was a significant health scare. At the tender age of 15, while playing for Sporting CP's youth academy, Ronaldo was diagnosed with tachycardia, a heart condition that caused his heart to beat irregularly and at an abnormally fast rate, even at rest. This diagnosis put his promising football career in jeopardy. His mother, understandably terrified, recalled the need for urgent surgery. The procedure involved using a laser to cauterize the problematic area in his heart, essentially correcting the irregular rhythm. The surgery was successful, and remarkably, Ronaldo was back training just a few days later, demonstrating an early and unwavering commitment to his passion, a drive that transcended physical setbacks. The fear of losing the one path that offered a genuine escape from poverty, coupled with the inherent danger of a heart condition, must have been immense for a teenage boy. Yet, his response was not one of despair, but of an almost superhuman resolve. This episode underscored his incredible mental fortitude and physical resilience, qualities that would later become hallmarks of his career, allowing him to push boundaries and overcome injuries that might have ended lesser athletes' ambitions. It was a stark reminder that his journey to the top was not just about talent, but also about an unyielding will to overcome every obstacle placed in his path. The speed of his recovery and his immediate return to training were not just remarkable, they were indicative of the burning desire within him to achieve his dreams, a desire that overshadowed even the most serious of health concerns. These early trials, poverty, an alcoholic father, disciplinary problems stemming from a fierce sense of loyalty, and a life-threatening heart condition, forged a resilient and complex individual. They instilled in him not only an insatiable hunger for success, but also a sensitivity to perceived slights and an unwavering determination to prove himself against all odds, laying the groundwork for the extraordinary and at times controversial career that followed. His childhood, far from being a tale of privilege, was a harsh proving ground that instilled in him an almost primal urge to succeed, not just for himself but for his family, and as a testament to his origins. The constant struggle for survival in Funchal fostered a unique mindset, one where every training session was an opportunity, every match a chance to prove his worth, and every setback a challenge to be overcome. He learned to channel his anger, his frustrations, and his fears into fuel for his ambition. The absence of his father due to alcoholism, though painful, instilled in him a disciplined lifestyle that eschewed vices and prioritized physical peak performance. The expulsion from school, while a negative mark, reinforced his defiant spirit and pushed him further into the world where he truly belonged, the football pitch. Even the heart surgery, a terrifying ordeal, ultimately served to highlight his immense dedication and resilience. These experiences, individually profound and collectively transformative, shaped Cristiano Ronaldo into the relentless, driven, and often polarizing figure we know today. They are not merely footnotes in his biography, but the very bedrock upon which his legendary career was built. A constant reminder of the humble beginnings that fueled an unprecedented rise to global superstardom. His unparalleled work ethic, his refusal to accept anything less than perfection, and his almost obsessive pursuit of records can all be traced back to the challenges he faced as a young boy in Madeira. He plays not just for glory, but as a perpetual tribute to the boy who had nothing and everything to prove. The shadow of Las Vegas. The Kathryn Mayorga allegations. Perhaps the most significant and damaging dark history element in Cristiano Ronaldo's public life revolves around the sexual assault allegations made by Kathryn Mayorga. This complex and protracted legal battle cast a long shadow over his career, bringing intense scrutiny to his personal conduct. The alleged incident occurred on June 12, 2009, in a penthouse suite at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas. At the time, Ronaldo, then 24 and on the cusp of his record-breaking transfer to Real Madrid, was on vacation. Mayorga, a model and former teacher, was 25. The two met in the VIP section of the nightclub Rain. The atmosphere was charged with the typical Las Vegas energy, music, drinks, and the allure of celebrity. Ronaldo, already a global sensation due to his prowess on the football pitch, was undeniably a focal point of attention. His celebrity status and wealth set the stage for an encounter that would later unravel into a decade-long legal and public relations nightmare. The exact details of their initial interaction at the nightclub remain debated, but what is clear is that they left the club together, accompanied by other individuals, and proceeded to Ronaldo's opulent hotel suite. According to Mayorga's account, which she later publicly detailed with graphic precision, she went with Ronaldo and others back to his hotel suite. There, she alleged that Ronaldo sexually assaulted her in a bedroom. She claimed she repeatedly said no and stop and curled into a ball, but that he proceeded to sexually penetrate her. Her testimony painted a picture of extreme distress, claiming she was in tears and deeply traumatized by the experience. She described the immediate aftermath as a state of shock and confusion, struggling to process what had allegedly transpired. Ronaldo, through his legal team, consistently and vehemently denied the accusations, maintaining that their encounter was entirely consensual. His defense always centered on the claim that Mayorga was a willing participant and that the interaction was mutually desired. These two vastly different narratives formed the core of the contentious dispute, leaving the public to grapple with conflicting testimonies and a lack of definitive, independently verifiable evidence regarding the specific events within the bedroom. The stark contrast between their accounts highlighted the inherent difficulties in cases of alleged sexual assault, particularly when they involve only two direct participants. Shortly after the alleged incident in 2009, Mayorga reported the sexual assault to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, LVMPD, though she did not initially identify her alleged attacker by name or provide the exact location of the incident. This initial omission, while later explained by her legal team as a result of her emotional state and fear, would become a point of contention in subsequent legal proceedings. She was also examined at a local hospital, where a forensic examination was conducted, collecting crucial physical evidence that would later become part of the police investigation. Months later, in 2010, an out-of-court settlement was reached between Mayorga and Ronaldo's representatives. This swift resolution, common in such high-profile cases, aimed to contain the potential damage to Ronaldo's burgeoning career and public image. As part of this agreement, Ronaldo paid Mayorga $375,000, 0 cents, and she signed a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, agreeing not to discuss the details of the alleged assault. For years, the incident remained largely out of public view, buried under the weight of the confidentiality clause. The settlement was designed to ensure silence, to prevent any public airing of the allegations that could have derailed Ronaldo's transfer to Real Madrid, a move that would solidify his status as one of the world's most marketable athletes. The NDA, a legally binding document, effectively silenced Mayorga and kept the narrative controlled, at least for a time. However, the case resurfaced dramatically in 2017 when the German news magazine Der Spiegel published an article titled Cristiano Ronaldo's Secret, which was based on documents obtained from the whistleblower platform Football Leaks. These leaked documents detailed the settlement and the allegations, bringing the previously private matter into the international spotlight. Der Spiegel initially referred to Mayorga as Susan K. to protect her anonymity, in accordance with journalistic practices regarding alleged victims of sexual assault. The revelation sent shockwaves through the football world and beyond, reigniting the controversy and placing Ronaldo squarely back under the microscope. The Football Leaks documents, a trove of confidential information from the world of football, provided an unprecedented glimpse into the inner workings of deals and controversies, and the Mayorga case was arguably one of its most explosive disclosures. The leak effectively dismantled the carefully constructed wall of silence that had surrounded the 2010 settlement, allowing the narrative to escape the confines of legal agreements and enter the public domain. Following the publication, and with the support of a new legal team, Kathryn Mayorga decided to waive her anonymity in September 2018 and publicly share her story with Der Spiegel. This was a pivotal moment, transforming a confidential dispute into a very public accusation. Her decision to come forward was framed as an act of empowerment, seeking justice and hoping to inspire other victims of sexual assault. She then filed a civil lawsuit in Nevada, seeking to void the 2010 settlement and pursue further damages, reportedly in excess of $25 million, 0 cents. Her new legal representation argued that she had been coerced into signing the initial agreement in a vulnerable emotional state and that she was not mentally competent to agree to its terms at the time. This argument was central to her attempt to invalidate the NDA, claiming that her emotional distress at the time of the settlement rendered her incapable of truly consenting to its terms. Mayorga's lawsuit alleged battery, abuse, defamation, negligence, and other claims, effectively seeking to hold Ronaldo accountable for both the alleged assault and the subsequent emotional and psychological distress she claimed to have suffered. The reemergence of the allegations with Mayorga's public testimony sparked widespread debate, dividing public opinion and forcing sponsors and football clubs associated with Ronaldo to confront the growing controversy. The renewed public attention prompted the LVMPD to reopen its investigation into the 2009 complaint. This decision indicated that the initial investigation, while yielding a settlement, had not definitively closed the possibility of criminal charges. In January 2019, a warrant was issued for Ronaldo's DNA to determine if it matched any traces found at the scene, a standard procedure in sexual assault investigations. This development was a significant escalation, raising the stakes considerably and suggesting that the police were taking the allegations seriously. The media frenzy surrounding the DNA warrant further intensified the scrutiny on Ronaldo, with many speculating about the potential implications for his career and legacy. Despite the reopening of the police investigation, in July 2019, the Clark County District Attorney's Office announced that they would not pursue criminal charges against Ronaldo. Their statement indicated that, based upon a review of the information presented at this time, the allegations of sexual assault against Cristiano Ronaldo cannot be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and that too much time had passed and evidence failed to show that Mayorga's accusation could be proved to a jury. This decision, while a significant victory for Ronaldo's legal team, did not equate to an exoneration in the court of public opinion. The standard of proof for criminal cases, beyond a reasonable doubt, is much higher than for civil cases, and the passage of time often makes it harder to secure convictions. The district attorney's statement highlighted the challenges of prosecuting a case years after the alleged event, particularly when critical evidence might have degraded or memories faded. While the criminal investigation was closed, the civil lawsuit continued, operating under a different legal standard of proof. Ronaldo's legal team maintained that the sexual encounter was consensual and that the confidentiality agreement was valid, arguing that Mayorga had freely entered into the agreement and received significant compensation. In August 2019, Ronaldo's lawyers formally admitted to the $375,000 0 payment in court filings, but reiterated that it was made to maintain confidentiality and not as an admission of guilt. This admission was a strategic move, acknowledging the fact of the payment, but vehemently denying any implication of wrongdoing. They argued that the payment was a common practice in out-of-court settlements to avoid prolonged and costly litigation, regardless of the merits of the original claim. The civil case faced further complexities, becoming bogged down in legal procedural battles and disputes over evidence. In June 2022, U.S. District Judge Jennifer Dorsey dismissed the $25 million 0 civil lawsuit. The judge's ruling was highly critical of Mayorga's lead attorney, Leslie Mark Stovall, citing bad faith conduct and the improper use of leaked and stolen documents, including privileged attorney-client discussions between Ronaldo and his lawyers. Judge Dorsey stated that Stovall's actions had tainted the case beyond redemption, emphasizing the importance of ethical legal conduct and the protection of privileged information. This dismissal prevented Mayorga from refiling the case and also resulted in a significant fine being levied against her lawyer, a severe penalty that underscored the judge's condemnation of his conduct. Despite this setback, Mayorga's legal team appealed the dismissal, attempting to revive her bid for further compensation and to unseal the confidentiality agreement, a key objective in their pursuit of justice and transparency. They argued that the judge's ruling was overly harsh and that the focus should remain on the alleged assault rather than the conduct of her legal team. As recently as October 2023 and November 2023, U.S. appeals courts have heard arguments, ultimately siding with Ronaldo and rejecting Mayorga's appeal to reopen the case and overturn the dismissal. The appeals court noted the 2010 settlement lay dormant until 2017 when Football Leaks released hundreds of documents through a cyber hack of Ronaldo's former attorneys, reiterating the origin of the controversies re-emerged. The repeated rejection of Mayorga's appeals by higher courts effectively brought the long-running legal battle to a definitive close, at least within the American legal system. The finality of these rulings provided a degree of legal closure for Ronaldo, though the shadow of the allegations remains. The legal saga, while not resulting in criminal charges or a successful civil conviction, undeniably etched a significant and enduring mark on Ronaldo's public image, becoming a permanent fixture in any discussion of his dark history. The extensive media coverage, the details of the allegations, and the protracted legal proceedings ensured that the incident became deeply ingrained in the public consciousness, shaping perceptions of the football star. For many, the allegations, regardless of the legal outcomes, raised serious questions about his character and accountability. The fact that a substantial settlement was paid, even if framed as a desire for confidentiality rather than an admission of guilt, continued to fuel speculation and doubt. The case served as a stark reminder of the complexities surrounding allegations of sexual assault, the power dynamics involved, and the immense challenges of achieving justice, particularly when one party is a global celebrity. While legally the case appears closed, the public discourse around it and its impact on Ronaldo's legacy is far from over. It serves as a permanent footnote to his otherwise illustrious career, a reminder that even the brightest stars can have their brilliance dimmed by serious accusations and prolonged legal battles. The Mayorga case remains a point of contention and a source of discomfort for many of his fans, a testament to the enduring power of such allegations, even in the absence of criminal convictions. Public outbursts and the unraveling at Manchester United. Cristiano Ronaldo's career, while marked by unparalleled success and moments of sporting brilliance, has also been punctuated by highly publicized outbursts and controversial behaviors that have, at times, overshadowed his on-field achievements. These instances often reveal a fiercely competitive and emotionally charged personality, a double-edged sword that has both driven him to greatness and led to public clashes. This duality in his character is a consistent theme throughout his professional life, manifesting in moments of both sublime talent and regrettable conduct. His unyielding desire to win, a trait widely lauded and central to his longevity at the elite level, sometimes translates into expressions of frustration that are less than ideal for a public figure of his stature. One of the most infamous incidents occurred during Euro 2016, while Ronaldo was on international duty with Portugal. On June 22, 2016, just hours before a crucial group stage match against Hungary, Ronaldo was taking a stroll with his teammates near a lake when a reporter from the Portuguese news channel CMTV approached him. The reporter, Diogo Torres, asked if Ronaldo was prepared for the game, a seemingly innocuous question. However, without a word, a visibly agitated Ronaldo snatched the microphone from the journalist's hand and, to the astonishment of onlookers and the camera crew, hurled it into a nearby lake. The incident immediately went viral, generating immense media attention and drawing widespread criticism for his unsportsmanlike conduct. The sheer audacity of the act, captured on video, cemented it as one of his most memorable, controversial moments. While the exact trigger for his anger wasn't explicitly stated by Ronaldo, the journalist later speculated that CMTV's sometimes critical coverage of him, particularly regarding his private life, might have been a significant factor. Ronaldo had previously expressed disdain for the channel, even threatening legal action against them. This moment starkly showcased a side of Ronaldo that struggled to contain his frustrations, especially when under pressure or feeling provoked, revealing a deep-seated aversion to what he perceived as intrusive or negative media attention. It underscored a personality that prioritizes control and resents any perceived disrespect or interference. The incident also served as a vivid example of how his intense emotions, a part of his competitive drive, could occasionally spill over into impulsive and publicly damaging actions. Fast forward to 2022, and Ronaldo's highly anticipated second stint at Manchester United ended in an acrimonious departure, largely due to a public fallout with manager Erik ten Hag and the club itself. The tensions had been building throughout the season, characterized by a series of benchings, late substitutions, and a general feeling of discontent from Ronaldo, who felt his status and contributions were not being adequately respected. His frustration boiled over in a bombshell interview with Piers Morgan in November 2022, just days before the FIFA World Cup. In this explosive sit-down, Ronaldo leveled a series of scathing criticisms against Manchester United, its management, and particularly Erik ten Hag. He claimed he felt betrayed by the club, alleging that certain figures within the institution were actively trying to force him out. Most strikingly, he stated, "I don't have respect for him because he doesn't show respect for me." This direct challenge to the manager's authority was unprecedented. He also criticized the club's facilities, perceived lack of investment, and general decline since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure, lamenting that nothing changed since his first spell there. He painted a picture of a club that had stagnated and failed to keep up with modern footballing standards, a sharp contrast to the elite environment he had become accustomed to at Real Madrid and Juventus. This interview was a point of no return. Ronaldo's public disparagement of his club and manager was widely condemned by pundits, former players, and even many fans as unprofessional, disrespectful, and ultimately self-serving. It irrevocably severed his ties with Manchester United, leading to the mutual termination of his contract just days after the interview aired. The club, facing immense public pressure and a clear breach of contract, had little choice but to part ways with their star player. The timing, just before the 2022 FIFA World Cup, also raised questions about its potential impact on Portugal's national team, with concerns that the highly publicized drama could destabilize the squad's focus. However, Ronaldo publicly dismissed such concerns, insisting that his focus remained on the national team. The entire episode highlighted a fundamental clash of wills and expectations. Ronaldo, accustomed to being the central figure and driving force, struggled to adapt to a reduced role, while Ten Hag sought to assert his authority and implement a new tactical vision. The fallout was a stark demonstration of how Ronaldo's unwavering self-belief and refusal to accept anything less than his perceived rightful place could lead to dramatic and costly ruptures. It underscored his powerful influence and, conversely, the challenges that clubs faced in managing such a dominant and strong-willed personality. Beyond these major flashpoints, Ronaldo has accumulated a history of controversial on-field actions and displays of frustration that, while perhaps less globally impactful than the microphone or Piers Morgan incidents, collectively contribute to his reputation for a volatile temperament. There have been numerous instances of him reacting angrily to substitutions, betraying visible displeasure when taken off the pitch, even when his team is winning or the substitution is tactical. A notable example occurred during a match against South Korea at the 2022 World Cup, where he was filmed muttering and shaking his head as he walked off, seemingly frustrated by the decision to replace him. These reactions, often caught by television cameras, fuel narratives about his ego and his perceived prioritization of individual statistics over team cohesion. He has also been captured throwing his arms up in exasperation at teammates' perceived mistakes, displaying a demanding perfectionism that sometimes veered into public displays of discontent. This can be seen as both a positive, driving his teammates to higher standards, and a negative, potentially undermining confidence and fostering resentment within the squad. His interactions with fans have also, on occasion, led to controversy. In April 2022, after a frustrating loss to Everton, Ronaldo was filmed slapping a phone out of a young fan's hand as he walked off the pitch, a moment that quickly went viral and drew widespread condemnation. While he later apologized, expressing remorse, and even offering the boy a visit to Old Trafford, the incident garnered significant negative publicity and even led to a police caution. It highlighted the immense pressure he operates under and how even seemingly minor provocations can elicit disproportionate reactions. More recently, during his time with Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, he has been seen reacting aggressively after losses, including making an obscene gesture towards rival fans after a defeat. These actions, often in response to taunts or chants of "Messi," further demonstrate his intense emotional investment in the game and his rivalry, but also his struggle to maintain composure under pressure. These incidents, while perhaps born from his intense desire to win and his unwavering competitive spirit, consistently draw criticism regarding his temperament and impact on team morale. They paint a picture of a player whose passion, while undeniably a source of his greatness and magnetic appeal, can sometimes spill over into moments of less than ideal sportsmanship and significant public image challenges. These behaviors, woven into the fabric of his legendary career, serve as a reminder that even the most successful athletes are complex individuals, driven by intense emotions that can, at times, lead to both unparalleled triumphs and regrettable missteps. The recurring nature of these controversies has undeniably shaped public perception of Ronaldo. While his incredible talent and relentless dedication are universally acknowledged, These outbursts and public disagreements reveal a more complex and at times abrasive side of his personality. For sponsors and brands, these incidents represent a calculated risk. While Ronaldo's immense global reach and influence are undeniable assets, the potential for negative publicity associated with his controversies is a constant consideration. His willingness to speak his mind, even to the detriment of his club or personal image, underscores an uncompromising personality that values authenticity, albeit sometimes brutally so. These darker aspects of his history, while not detracting from his sporting achievements for many fans, add layers to his persona, making him a figure who evokes strong reactions, both positive and negative, extending far beyond the football pitch. They are an intrinsic part of the narrative surrounding one of football's most iconic and at times perplexing figures: the financial missteps, tax evasion, and legal penalties. Beyond the on-field theatrics and personal controversies, Cristiano Ronaldo, like many other high-profile footballers based in Spain, found himself entangled in a significant tax evasion scandal that added another complex layer to his dark history. This legal battle stemmed from his highly lucrative image rights income during his tenure with Real Madrid, a period of immense financial accumulation for the global superstar. The Spanish tax authorities, known for their rigorous pursuit of high-income individuals, particularly in sports, began to scrutinize the financial arrangements of a number of top athletes. And Ronaldo, given his colossal earnings and international profile, became a prime target. The investigation into Ronaldo's tax affairs began around 2015, building momentum as Spanish authorities gathered evidence. In June 2017, Spanish state prosecutors formally accused him of 4 counts of tax fraud between 2011 and 2014, totaling a staggering €14,700,000, 0 cents, approximately $16,700,000, 0 cents, USD. The sheer scale of the alleged fraud underscored the seriousness of the accusations. The core of the accusation was that Ronaldo had knowingly used a sophisticated business structure created in 2010 to intentionally conceal income generated in Spain from its image rights. Prosecutors alleged that he deliberately routed these immense earnings through a complex web of shell companies located in low-tax jurisdictions, specifically the British Virgin Islands and Ireland, with the explicit purpose of avoiding paying the appropriate and significantly higher Spanish taxes. This alleged scheme was not merely an oversight, but a deliberate, calculated effort to minimize his tax obligations through illicit means. Prosecutors further claimed that Ronaldo had intentionally failed to declare nearly €32 million, 0 cents, $36 million, 0 cents, USD, in income from his image rights, a substantial portion of his earnings that was allegedly hidden from the taxman. They also accused him of falsely reporting some of his income as coming from real estate, a classification that significantly reduced his effective tax rate, further demonstrating an alleged pattern of deceptive financial practices. This misrepresentation, according to the prosecution, was a clear attempt to defraud the state. Moreover, they accused him of refusing to include an additional €28,400,000, 0 cents, $33,600,000, 0 cents, USD, in income related to the sale of his image rights for the period of 2015 to 2020 to a Spanish company, a move that further solidified the prosecution's case about his alleged intent to conceal earnings. Additionally, posing encircled contraband and a new Essentially, the Spanish tax authorities believed Ronaldo had meticulously created a screen, a complex and intentionally opaque financial structure to hide his total income from their purview, thereby depriving the Spanish treasury of rightful tax revenue. The complexity and deliberate nature of the alleged scheme painted a picture of premeditated financial misconduct rather than simple negligence. Initially, Ronaldo and his representatives vehemently denied the accusations. His powerful sports agency, Gestifut, run by his longtime agent Jorge Mendes, released robust statements asserting that he had always complied with tax authorities and that there is no offshore structure for evading taxes. They maintained that all contractual modifications related to his image rights were made with the express intent of ensuring full compliance with Spanish tax regulations, portraying Ronaldo as a victim of overly aggressive interpretation of tax laws. Ronaldo himself, after a court appearance in 2017 where he answered questions for about 90 minutes, publicly stated, "I never tried to avoid paying taxes," projecting an image of innocence and adherence to legal obligations. His defense at this stage centered on the legality of his financial structures, arguing that they were legitimate tools for managing his vast wealth, rather than conduits for evasion. However, as the legal process unfolded, the pressure mounted considerably. Spain had already pursued similar cases against other prominent footballers based in the country, creating a clear precedent and demonstrating the authorities' resolve. Most notably, his rival Lionel Messi, who played for Barcelona, had faced and been convicted of similar tax fraud charges, receiving a 21-month suspended prison sentence. While Messi avoided actual jail time by converting the sentence into a fine, the highly publicized case served as a stark warning to other athletes. This precedent likely influenced Ronaldo's eventual decision to reach a settlement, realizing that the Spanish authorities were unyielding and that contesting the charges could lead to a far more damaging outcome, including a potential actual prison sentence if convicted and given a non-suspended term. The legal landscape in Spain made it increasingly clear that a lengthy and public trial carried significant risks. In June 2018, it was widely reported that Ronaldo had agreed to a comprehensive deal with Spain's state prosecutor and tax authorities. This agreement represented a significant capitulation from his initial defiant stance and indicated a shift in his legal strategy towards damage control and resolution. The deal involved pleading guilty to the 4 counts of tax fraud, accepting a suspended prison sentence. This kind of plea bargain is a common mechanism in legal systems to avoid the uncertainties and protracted nature of a full trial, especially when the evidence against the accused is strong. On January 22, 2019, Ronaldo made a brief but highly symbolic appearance in a Madrid court to formally sign off on the pre-agreed deal. Surrounded by media, he walked into the court, projecting an air of calm confidence despite the gravity of the proceedings. There, he formally pleaded guilty to the 4 counts of tax fraud, a public admission of wrongdoing that contradicted his earlier denials. Under the terms of the agreement, Ronaldo was fined nearly €19 million, 0 cents, approximately $21,600,000 USD, a hefty sum that reflected the scale of the alleged fraud and served as a significant penalty for his actions. Additionally, he received a 23-month suspended prison sentence. Under Spanish law, a first offender can serve a sentence of less than 2 years on probation, meaning Ronaldo did not have to spend any time in actual prison. This particular aspect of the Spanish legal system proved crucial for Ronaldo, allowing him to avoid the profound personal and public relations disaster of incarceration. He had already made an initial payment of €5,700,000, 0 cents, plus approximately €1 million, 0 cents in interest in July 2018 as part of the overall settlement, demonstrating his commitment to resolving the issue financially. His court appearance on that day lasted only about 45 minutes, a mere formality to sign the final agreement that had been meticulously negotiated beforehand. As he exited the courthouse, holding hands with his partner, Georgina Rodriguez, Ronaldo was seen smiling, a striking image given the context of the proceedings. He briefly told waiting journalists, "It's done," a statement that encapsulated the sense of relief and finality after years of legal wrangling. Despite the smiles, the episode undoubtedly served as a stark reminder of the legal and financial complexities that can accompany immense wealth and fame, particularly when international tax laws intersect. It also highlighted the meticulous and relentless nature of Spanish tax authorities in pursuing high-profile cases. The tax evasion scandal stands as a prominent mark on his dark history, demonstrating a period where his financial conduct fell afoul of the law, bringing into question not just his legal compliance, but also his ethical responsibilities as a global icon. While he avoided prison, the guilty plea and the substantial fine served as an undeniable record of financial impropriety, adding a distinct layer to the multifaceted narrative of Cristiano Ronaldo's extraordinary, yet at times controversial, life. The weight of expectation, criticisms of professionalism and ego, Cristiano Ronaldo's relentless pursuit of individual glory, and his undeniable self-belief, while central to his unparalleled success, have frequently been interpreted by critics as an overwhelming ego and, at times, a distinct lack of professionalism. This perception has led to a consistent stream of criticism from pundits, former players, and even a segment of his vast fan base, painting a picture of a player who, despite his immense talent, often struggles to prioritize the collective good above his personal narrative and statistical achievements. This tension between individual brilliance and team harmony has been a defining characteristic of his career, particularly as he entered its later stages. One recurring theme in the criticism leveled against Ronaldo is his highly expressive on-field demeanor, especially when events aren't unfolding in his favor. He is notoriously demonstrative, often throwing his arms up in exasperation, shrugging his shoulders in disbelief, or even vocally expressing his frustration when a teammate misplaces a pass, a shot goes astray, or a referee's decision goes against him. These animated reactions are not subtle. They are often caught by cameras and replayed extensively, becoming emblematic of his demanding nature. While some ardent defenders argue that this is simply a raw manifestation of his intense desire to win, a reflection of his insatiable competitive spirit that demands perfection from himself and those around him, others view it as disruptive and potentially demoralizing for his teammates. These visible displays of frustration, particularly when directed at younger or less experienced players, have been cited as examples of an overbearing presence that can negatively impact team cohesion, undermine confidence, and create an atmosphere of anxiety rather than encouragement. The argument is that while his standards are high, his method of communicating dissatisfaction can be counterproductive to fostering a positive team environment. His reactions to being substituted have been particularly scrutinized and have become a recurring flashpoint throughout his career, intensifying noticeably in its latter stages. Ronaldo has frequently expressed open displeasure when taken off the pitch, even when his team is comfortably winning or the substitution is clearly tactically sound. To manage his minutes or introduce fresh legs, instances of him shaking his head, muttering to himself, or going directly down the tunnel rather than joining the bench have become almost commonplace, leading to countless discussions and analyses in sports media. A notable example occurred during his second spell at Manchester United under interim manager Ralf Rangnick, where he was visibly upset after being substituted during a match against Brentford, tossing his jacket in frustration and engaging in a brief, heated exchange with the coaching staff. Similar scenes unfolded with even greater frequency during the 2022 FIFA World Cup with Portugal, where he found himself increasingly benched in favor of younger, more dynamic players like Gonçalo Ramos. While some of his teammates, like João Felix, publicly stated Ronaldo reacted really well to being on the bench, his body language often told a different story, with cameras frequently cutting to his solitary figure on the sidelines, often looking sullen, or his immediate departure down the tunnel after a match, rather than engaging with the team's celebrations or commiserations. These actions are often perceived as prioritizing personal playing time, the pursuit of individual goal tallies, and his own ego over the team's overall performance and harmony, fostering a perception that he views himself as bigger than the collective. Furthermore, critics often point to Ronaldo's perceived selfishness, particularly in and around the penalty area. While his incredible record-breaking goal-scoring output is an irrefutable testament to his finishing ability and predatory instincts, there have been persistent arguments that his single-minded focus on scoring can sometimes hinder attacking fluidity and tactical flexibility. Pundits and tactical analysts have suggested that he might be less inclined to pass in a promising position if it means he won't get the shot himself, even if a teammate is in a better scoring opportunity. This criticism was sometimes leveled against him during his time at Juventus, where some observers felt his presence occasionally made the team's attack too predictable and reliant on his individual brilliance, rather than a more intricate collective approach. His statistical output in terms of assists, while respectable given his goal tallies, often lags behind other elite playmakers and even other top-tier forwards who are equally adept at creating opportunities for teammates, further fueling this perception of a primary focus on personal goals rather than creating for others. This perceived selfishness in attacking zones contributes to the narrative that his pursuit of individual records can sometimes come at the expense of optimal team play. Off the field, or at least in his public interactions and persona, Ronaldo's characteristic "I am the best" pronouncements, while undoubtedly reflective of his profound confidence and self-belief, have also been widely perceived as arrogance by some sections of the public and media. His iconic "Su" celebration, a triumphant leap and spin followed by a powerful declaration of "Su," meaning yes, in Portuguese, has become a global phenomenon and a symbol of his dominance, adored by his legions of fans worldwide. However, it has also been seen by others as an embodiment of his perceived self-importance and a public display of narcissism. These bold declarations and signature gestures, while intended to project strength and confidence, sometimes alienate those who prefer a more humble or understated demeanor from their sporting hero. The perception of an overwhelming ego even began to impact his standing within his own country. During the 2022 World Cup, a poll in Portugal even suggested that a majority of fans wanted him dropped from the starting lineup, indicating a growing sentiment that his individual persona and the controversy surrounding it were beginning to outweigh his tangible contributions and become a distraction for the national team. This was a stark reflection of how public opinion, even among his most loyal supporters, can shift when individual narratives appear to overshadow collective ambitions. These criticisms are not merely isolated incidents, but rather a recurring thread woven throughout his illustrious career, intensifying in his later years as he transitioned from his physical peak. While some ardent defenders argue that such behavior is simply a byproduct of his unparalleled competitive fire, a relentless desire to maximize every moment on the pitch, and a deep-seated frustration with anything less than perfection, others view it as a consistent pattern of behavior that, at times, undermines team spirit, creates unnecessary drama, and presents a less-than-ideal image of professionalism for a player of his immense stature and influence. It underscores the complex dynamic of a player whose ambition is both his greatest strength, propelling him to unprecedented heights, and, arguably, his most significant dark history footnote in terms of public perception, team integration, and the sometimes fragile balance between individual brilliance and collective success. His legacy, while undeniably cemented by his phenomenal achievements, will forever be intertwined with these moments of perceived ego and questionable professionalism, adding layers of debate and discussion to the narrative of one of football's most polarizing and iconic figures. The discourse around Ronaldo will always grapple with the question of whether his single-minded pursuit of greatness, while delivering unparalleled personal success, occasionally came at the expense of the team dynamic, making him a complex character who defies simple categorization as either purely hero or villain.